views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Mission Bronx, a show dedicated to highlighting some of the wonderful work being done by the nonprofit organizations in the Bronx. Mission Bronx is a collaboration between BronxNet Television and the Center for Nonprofits at Hostos Community College, and I'm your host, Eileen Newman. Previously on Mission Bronx, we set sail with Hunts Point Alliance for Children, an organization working with families of the Hunts Point section of the Bronx to help create successful futures for their children. Now, on this episode of Mission Bronx, we'll learn about an organization using musical excellence and ensemble performance to bring positive change into the lives of children in the South Bronx. We'll find out about all of this and more on this edition of Mission Bronx. Welcome everyone, I'm your host, Eileen Newman. Today we are visiting UpBeat NYC. This program for the children of the South Bronx provides free, year-round, intensive musical training and hopes to bring about a positive change in their lives. Hi, we're here today with Richard Miller and Liza Austria, who are the co-founders of UpBeat NYC. And we're first going to talk a little bit about how they came to this whole area of music and what their backgrounds are, because they're so fascinating that I wanted you to hear about them before we even hear about what UpBeat NYC is all about. So Liza, let's start with you. What was your background and how did you get into doing this?
Sure. Well, I was lucky enough to grow up in a musical household. From my earliest days, I was playing the piano with my mother as my piano teacher. My parents met at music school, at Manhattan School of Music. My mother was a pianist, my father a double bassist there. So we just had a household full of music all the time, which was really special for me. And as I got older, I continued to study piano. I sang in the choir at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine for several years, which was a really special, kind of unique experience. And then got pulled into the world of dance and pursued dance with ballet, and then later became a performer around the city doing modern dance. Went and lived in Brazil for a little while and was dancing in a youth ballet company there, and also was studying some Brazilian music. And so when I came back with my family, and actually Richard was in the picture by then, we had a little like jazz and Latin band, and we'd play at weddings and in restaurants and do gigs, and so it's taken me different ways, but yeah.
And I read in your bio that you were doing gyrotonics, yes. Which I have to say, I don't know.
What is that?
Can you explain that?
Yeah, so it's a strengthening and stretching exercise system that is used often for rehabilitation. It was created by a dancer when he was injured and needed to find ways to heal his body. So after doing that for myself for quite a while as a dancer, I became certified as an instructor and was really making my living being able to do that and dance.
Rich, I've heard that you're also a professional musician, so can you talk a little bit about your background in music?
I got into music when I was in middle school. My brother played saxophone and then went on to play football, so we had a saxophone laying around when I turned 12 years old or 13, and I took up saxophone in middle school and played in band, and then I got into jazz music when I was a little older. Ended up going to school for jazz performance, which brought me to New York City. And that's how I met Liza, lucky me. And doing odd jobs here and there, working as a musician. And then I did connect, got connected to music education here with a great nonprofit called Music in the Brain, which serves public schools throughout the city. And so I got to go around the city and witness a lot of great teaching by teachers in public schools. So that was kind of my training in music education. And then from I met Liza somewhere in there, and yeah, then the story continues after that. Yeah, that led us to this work.
That's wonderful. It's really wonderful, and I think in some ways unique that, not that people with music backgrounds don't teach in schools, but that you would really take it full circle to want to teach young people the way you had started. And I sort of love the fact that you didn't play football. Instead, you picked up the instrument. So that's a great part of the story too.
Right.
So we're going to take a little break and then come back and talk about UpBeat NYC.
Great.
From the north to the south to the west to the east, we are expanding our services and upgrading technology at Lehman College. And now, Bronxites have an innovative media production facility in the East Bronx at Mercy College in the Hutch Metro Center. The windows on the East Bronx studio, a state-of-the-art control room, media labs for production and training, and other media-capable spaces. Training, workforce development, leading-edge technology, and programs that help you share your ideas, your voice, on your channels, locally and globally. Build media and technology skills at BronxNet and build your dreams.
So let's talk about UpBeat NYC. So here you are both performing and doing different jobs. And why did you start UpBeat? What made this happen?
You know, we both went through a period of time of really just struggling and wanting to succeed in the arts that we were involved in, and you know, really focused inward in some sense, you know, and on ourselves and our success. And I think that we both, around the same moments, we felt a lot of frustration with that. Both that focus on the individual self, but also feeling like we were seeing a lot of so much inequality in the arts world in New York City, and a lot of the privilege and advantages we had had growing up just were not present for so many kids here in New York City. And I think it just kind of, both of us, we felt that was pulling us in a different direction. I don't know if you want to add something, but I know we can talk about my family. Yeah,
absolutely, I agree. And I mean, we get a lot of meaning out of our own art that we do ourselves, music and dance. But there was something missing. We felt there was more to being a musician and an artist, a performing artist, than just doing it yourself. To be the part of the community that's also passing on the knowledge and the training and everything. Like Liza says, it's a minority of kids that get to do that here in this big city that is so rich culturally, and yet there's so many kids who don't have the opportunity. So we felt like we had a passion for it, and we still do. And yeah, that led us into the work. But Liza, you can talk a little bit about how your family was a part of that as well.
Yeah, so I think, you know, a couple things were factoring in. My mother was a public school teacher in Manhattan for over 20 years, and she taught really little kids, but even there she noticed, you know, so much focus on testing, so much pushing the arts out of the school, and so she was very frustrated with that as a musician herself, and noticing that was just it was being removed from the schools so much. The kids in public schools weren't having that opportunity. And then my older brother was up here in the Bronx working with an organization called actually his organization now is Community Connections for Youth. At the time, though, he was beginning his work as in alternative to incarceration for youth. And so he was often talking as well about kids in this neighborhood right here in the Bronx, sometimes as young as 10 or 11, getting locked up for these sometimes very petty crimes, and that there just wasn't a network of positive support that was available for them, an alternative to all of that. And then my father, who is a professional bassist with New York City Opera, American Ballet Theater, other great orchestras in New York, he learned about El Sistema in Venezuela, which is a national system of youth orchestras and choirs. And he was just so excited about it because he felt like it really spoke to him on the level of how music really should be a right and not a privilege. It's a human right. And he grew up in the Philippines and often felt like he wasn't that great at school. He had an older brother who was definitely an academic, and music ended up becoming something that he felt like he was really good at, and it opened a lot of doors for him. It was a bass scholarship that brought him to the US. So he had a lot of connection to that idea that music can really be an opportunity for a young person. And at the same time, he was also then playing in these elite orchestras where he was a minority. He was a person of color, and he was not necessarily seeing that represented. And so there was a little bit of a feeling of not belonging to that world entirely. And so when he saw El Sistema and these orchestras made up of young people from Venezuela who here maybe wouldn't have the means to an education, a musical education, he was very inspired by that and excited about that idea, that notion. So he was talking to us about that all the time, and family dinners, that was all we were hearing for years. And it really, I think it pushed us into that next phase of thinking, oh, maybe this is possible. This has been done so successfully. Let's try it. Let's see what we can do. He was always saying, like, man, we need something like this here in New York City, because even though it's one of the richest cities in the world, it's also one of the poorest.
And how long has UpBeat been around? How many years?
This is our 9th year this year.
Wow.
We started in 2009 with just us and Liza's mom and brother and a volunteer or two with maybe 10, 20 kids, and now we're at 150.
So how did the kids find you? Is it word of mouth, or is it?
It's a lot of that, and then we also do regular information sessions at the Mott Haven Library. We do flyering to schools and try to spread the word through the community. But we do, even though we have waiting lists for some instruments, we always are trying to spread the word more. So people who are interested in our programming can certainly reach out to us to learn more.
And how do you get the instruments?
Most of our instruments are donated from New York City residents. So we kind of have a part-time job in just going out and picking up instruments. The instruments you see here are all donated, and we have a room full of them right next door. So yeah, the majority of instruments are donated. And then we have funding from the city and the state and foundations as well.
So you didn't know anything about nonprofit when you started?
We didn't know what a nonprofit was.
Yeah.
Did you get help with that?
Yeah, definitely. So my older brother, Ruben, he was starting his own nonprofit, and so he helped us tremendously in just navigating, how to set up, all the ways that you need to set up, and then grant writing as well. He helped us a lot with that. And then we've been learning, as we go, and trying to learn from people who know better than us.
Right. We found out about it through one of the other people who's been on this show, who said, you have to go over and see UpBeat NYC because they're doing amazing work. And just last time when I saw you, you were in the church, and so it was seeing kids with violins and instruments in every nook and cranny was, and then seeing them all come together was wonderful. So, so we're going to get as much footage as we can of the kids playing and doing. And congratulations on this. This is really special, and thank you for having us here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Coming to you from our BronxNet studios, 4 new shows highlighting some of the best of the Bronx has to offer. We sit down with political leaders on In the District and discuss local legislation, events, and issues. See how the community and business come together with The Bronx Now on BronxNet. Nosotros features leaders from a Latino community. Meet those who are moving to make a difference in public service, business, arts, and culture. Looking for new and exciting dining experiences? Then you'll want to savor the Bronx and try new restaurants and eateries that fill the borough with delicious dishes. We have it all, so experience the Bronx in new and fresh ways on BronxNet.
Hey, I'm Darren Jaime. I'm the host of Wednesdays Open right here on BronxNet Television, Channel 67, and also on Verizon Files, Channel 33. Want to invite you every Wednesday. You get an opportunity to see what's going on in the world of news, current events, debates, public information. That's what happens here on Open every Wednesday. So we invite you to join us right here on BronxNet Television.
So I'm here with Savina, mom of a student here in the program. So Savina, how did you come to this, and what made you enroll your child? You have, first of all, a little bit about your child.
Okay. My daughter is, her name is Caitlin, and she's 8 years old. We started the program when she was 5 going on 6, and she's now 8 going on 9. And I was actually in the library one day, and there were a lot of kids coming in and out of a room, and I was like, what is happening in there? And so I checked it out, and I found out it was a music program, and I thought, this is amazing. I didn't know anything like this was available. So from then, we went in, we spoke to Rich and Liza, and they were very helpful, and she started that same month.
Did she have any interest in playing an instrument or music before?
Not really. She's just a curious child that likes to play. She never really had an interest in an instrument per se, but she was all for it, you know?
Yeah.
They start them out singing first. So when they first come in, they don't get an instrument right away. When they're that young, they start out with just teaching them, you know, character development, how to be together and sing together. And I think that that's a great way to kind of ease them in.
I didn't realize that. That's a great idea.
Yes. Yeah, when they're that young, they start them out singing. They don't have instruments the first year. They have what you call a box instrument. So they make an instrument out of like a cereal box. And they get used to holding the instrument and playing with it and how to take care of it. And then that next year, they give them an actual instrument.
So what does she play?
She plays violin.
What does she say about it? What did she feel about doing this?
She's super excited. I mean, she's young, she's 8. She's learning how to read music. She's learning how to play it on her own. Sometimes she experiments with, it's not always very melodic.
It's the violin thing.
Doesn't always sound, you know, but she really loves being able to create something on her own, and she loves being able to perform. They do lots of concerts, and I think that that's really great for building self-esteem in children, really great for helping them to see that they're able to do things, and so she likes that.
So you're going to keep her in this program, right?
Absolutely, until she can't be here anymore, but yeah.
And how long can she stay? I don't know what age they...
I never really asked the question, but I know that there are a lot of students who are here that are in high school, so I never really asked how long she can stay. I just know that I want her to be here for as long as she can be here.
Yeah. Did you ever play an instrument?
I've never played an instrument. I never played an instrument, and sometimes I sit in the classes and I play with her instrument at home, and I'm like, okay, I'm not that good at it. But yeah, nobody's really that musically inclined in my family, so she's kind of a first.
So it brought a whole new dimension into the family.
And brought a whole new dimension, yeah.
That's really wonderful. This is, so you're both lucky.
We're both lucky.
The whole family's lucky that you found this. And is she your only child?
She's not. I have a younger daughter under her who wants to be in the program also. Absolutely. She tries to play with her violin. She has her own box violin. She made her own. So she's eager to be a part of the program too.
Oh, that's great.
She's only 4 though, so this will be her first year.
So should they start at 5?
Yeah, they start at 5. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks so much. Thanks for coming in and talking to us. That's terrific. I want a box violin now.
Welcome everybody, we are open. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You can catch me on there each and every night right after the Quiet Storm. You can catch me right here on Open, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Let's just call it on the 10s and then just keep it tuned. And we got you covered like a blanket, okay? I'm out in the community and we're all over the place because we are now open.
If you want to stay in the know about the latest happenings en español, check out Diálogo Abierto, BronxNet's own Spanish show, Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. on Channel 67. The latest in news, arts, culture, politics, and what's going on in your neighborhood. Diálogo Abierto, the best way to stay connected in Spanish. See you there. Te esperamos.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
So, Brianna and Torrance, thank you for coming in to talk with us. So we're making a little show here about the program you're in. And what instrument do you play?
Viola.
And how about you?
Flute.
And how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for a few months now.
And you?
A year.
A year? So what do you think of this program?
I would really like to learn more how to play the flute in this program.
So you're going to stick around. And how about you?
I like it.
Yeah? You're going to stick around? You've been here for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So do you like the playing and the practicing, or do you like I hear that you do a lot of performances. What do you think of that?
I've never been to a performance,
no?
But I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, but you must have been to a performance because you've been here for a year, right?
Yeah.
And how was it?
I liked it.
Did you get nervous?
No.
No? Good for you. Good for you. So, do you go to school right nearby?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have music in your school, right? So do you have music in your school too? So do you play an instrument there?
Yeah. In my school at PS18, I play the drums.
Wow, the flute and the drums. You're like a little orchestra all by yourself, a band. And how about you? Do you have music in your school?
Well, I'm homeschooled, so my mom is teaching me how to play the keyboard.
Oh, that's great. So how often do you come to the program?
Like every Tuesday.
So once a week?
Yeah.
How about you?
Every Monday and Tuesday.
Wow, so you're twice a week. And then do you practice at home?
Yes.
Yes.
So you must like it if you practice at home on your own time. Well, thank you for talking to us, and we're going to be able to hear you in a few minutes, I think. So thank you both. Thank you for coming and talking to us. So, Mary Beth, thank you for coming in and talking to us. So, I don't have to ask you what you play because it's obvious what you play. So, how long have you been in the program playing the cello?
I've been playing like 3 to 4 years.
Wow. Yeah. So, how did you first start?
Well, it just started with me when I was in elementary. When I was in 5th grade, there was this music class that my principal put in the school, and so I decided to join.
That's great. And so you were in that, did you play the cello in that class?
No, my teacher, he was named Mr. R, and so he would make us choose to play the instrument by the size of our hand. And since then my hand was small, I got to play the viola instead.
So what brought you to that's great. What brought you to the cello?
It was actually whenever I saw my friend playing the cello, it made me want to play it also.
And how did you find your way here to UpBeat?
Well, I was in the library when I was like in 6th grade, and I was doing my homework, and then I hear this violin sounds. So I went upstairs, and that's when I met Liza.
Oh, that's great. And did you ask if she had any cellos?
Yeah.
And they did?
Yes, they did.
So how often do you play? How often do you come here?
How often? Well, I come classes from Monday through Friday from 4 to 7.
Wow, that's a lot of time. And then do you play in concerts? I hear they have a lot of concerts. You do that. So is this something you want to pursue? You want to keep doing?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Like in the future, I probably want to be a music teacher.
Oh, that's so great. And let's hope there are music classes so that people like you could do something that you love. That's really wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sitting with us. And that's a great story. It's really encouraging to know that people can find music in schools. So thanks and good luck.
Thanks.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I want to thank everyone at UpBeat for allowing us the opportunity to visit, and to you, our viewer, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's episode, or if you would like to check out past episodes of Mission Bronx, go to www.bronxnet.tv under Mission Bronx. See you next time for another edition of Mission Bronx.